Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome back inside the Lock Shop. Nielson and Huss back with you once again, part of the Nielson Media Coolbet Network. If you want to sign up for an account at Coolbet, do it today. Use the code LOCKSHOP when you do. Huss, we got a huge golf episode. Pat Gregoire is going to pop by right away. Hit a nice little hockey winner last night, though. My three-game parlay came through. A nice way to start the week.
You nailed it. And did you see how close or what prevented us from going 6-0 and having my parlay cash as well?
No, because I was thinking you were on the Flames game in the parlay, but you weren't.
No, it was Pittsburgh.
Against Ottawa, that's right.
6 minutes into the third period, Pittsburgh is outshooting Ottawa 41-14. This Dylan Ferguson character who just showed up in the National Hockey League looked like the second coming of Patrick Roy or Martin Brodeur. Pittsburgh finally ties it up. I'm starting to feel pretty good again. And then they take a bad penalty, give up a power play goal with 2 minutes left, and lose. A devastating loss for the Penguins. A game that I don't know, I didn't bother to look, but if you looked at the deserve to win a meter, it probably was at about 95%. And now the Panthers get a massive, massive boost. They're into that final spot right now and getting interesting in the East. And as far as my 3-point season prediction that the Flames and Kings would go to overtime, oops, that was a whiff. That was a whiff. But I'll tell you what, if I was going to lose a bet, the Flames losing 8-2 was a nice way going into tonight with the Jets hosting the Coyotes to not get a win right now. But yes, Dylan Ferguson, congratulations on an amazing start. You're on my shit list, buddy.
Who does he think he is? Patrick Lalime? Remember when Lalime came in and won like 15 in a row to start there in his career? That was with Pittsburgh, wasn't it? That was with Pittsburgh, the Hamburglar. In Ottawa, yeah.
19 and 20. I mean, the entire thing was absolutely bananas. He was. I'm just looking to see what the final shots were in this game. He ended up, just 49 shots against, 1 goal, 980 save percentage, and they had no business winning that game. I had no business losing that bet. However, coming back, and I do have a hockey exclusive. We won on Tuesday and Thursday last week. Going to try and get a couple more winners on Tuesday and Thursday this week so we can get to that a little later on. But the golf episode's early because match play gets going tomorrow. And,
I printed off the bracket.
Got the bracket and everything.
I printed off the bracket. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. There's a lot to get to. Let's bring in Pat Gregoire. Find him on Twitter at PGreggy with Coolbet. Pat, we talk a lot of golf with you. There's really nothing like this event, though, is it? This is fun. I love this.
It's one of the best events on tour, in my opinion, and it sucks. It sounds like they're actually going to remove it from the schedule next year, which is crazy to me. I feel like you really gain that momentum off March Madness. Everyone loves filling out a bracket. There's so much opportunity and growth for like fantasy challenges and daily fantasy betting. And in typical PGA fashion, they take away our fun. So with them having to worry about live, I would assume these type of events would be ones that they'd want to explore further. Like, I love match play. I know you guys do too. Huss, I mean, you've been to the Ryder Cup before. Like, I think it's a no-brainer. So maybe this is off the docket next year. I would be super surprised if we don't see another match play event added. And I know not all the players love it because it is a long week. It's, leading up to the Masters as well, but they got to find a way to do more team events because it really does add a different dynamic, which we're not used to seeing in golf.
Yeah, well, it worked out pretty well for Scotty Scheffler last year leading into the Masters, winning the match play and then winning the green jacket. So I don't know, maybe we can go the Scotty program. He, of course, is the favorite, not quite getting that 25 that was hung on him last year as he ascended to number 1 in the world. But hey, just quickly, while we're talking golf, before we get into the picks, you mentioned Liv. I have to admit, Sunday came. I did not even know that there was a live event last week. I mean, we're talking sports every day. We're on it. I follow every golf account. I mean, obviously, I must have just kind of missed it. But man, it just seems like it is going backwards right now. I mean, for all the momentum that they apparently got. And I mean, having Charles Howell III and Danny Lee win the first two events while all the guys that are getting the $1 billion to come are basically just showing up and cashing checks. To me, this has just been a disastrous start to the second year for this outfit.
Yeah, it really has. I think that, maybe getting lost in the shuffle of March Madness south of the border didn't help. But again, it really doesn't matter. Like, I still was watching the Valspar this past weekend, and that was a very, very average field. Sunday ended up actually being a really fun day.
It was awesome.
No reference whatsoever. You talk about it. All the Instagram accounts, all the Twitter accounts, there was nothing. And yeah, maybe it's because we don't have a CW up here in Canada, but obviously that was a huge miss, signing that deal, which is insane to me. You had such a perfect opportunity when they were streaming it on YouTube. It's so accessible. It's so true. It seems like it's going backwards. I'm interested, though, once we get our first major with the Masters, seeing these guys again. Maybe that might pique interest of people to go out and find live. But as far as I'm concerned, man, I know I've always been pretty open about how I could really care less about live golf and the way they've been running things. But year two, the fact that it's not even coming close to our radar, and we're pretty, in-tuned golf guys, the casual golf fans, that means they have no idea what's going on.
Is anybody betting on it?
To be honest, I think our first tournament did pretty well. Last week, like next to nothing really. Like, I mean, obviously we got some action, but nothing. Like, we got way more on the Valspar. And again, Valspar has taken a lot of ricochet shots here, but I mean, it really is not all that great of an event. It ended up being a great event, but when you looked at the field, there wasn't much going on. But yeah, it's, again, I will wait and see, or take the wait and see approach. Once the Masters hit, once we see some of those familiar faces again, maybe people will start betting on it again. But as of right now, it's a blip on the radar. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this week, with some LPGA action going on, which we will have outright odds for that tournament. The name is escaping me. We'll have more action probably on Brooke Henderson than we do have with Live Golf. I can almost guarantee that.
Amazing.
That's an easy way to get people involved in something. If that's not working, then I think they'd have to be concerned about that. Now, as far as this match play goes here, Patty, I mean, you got the groups, you got the outrights, you got the round one matchups. There's lots of different ways to get into this. How do you like to play these sort of events? So you kind of a couple outrights, a couple top fours maybe, and then you got to get in on some of these day one matchups, right? How do you do it? How do you approach this?
Stay cool and bet responsibly, certainly the motto that we have here at Coolbet. But it's a lot of action and it's a lot of fun. It's more, again, this is more like your typical sporting event. It's similar to March Madness, where you have your head-to-heads. You have a full day of head-to-heads. And I know you have that at every golf event, but just because of the abundance of the format, you have more options. I love betting the groups because me, myself, obviously, I love golf, and that's probably what I enjoy betting on the most. The one knock against golf betting for futures, you got to wait till Sunday to get the payout. With the groups, you get that payout a little bit earlier when you don't have to worry about who finishes top four or top five or whatever it may be. So the coming out of the groups, that's usually my favorite thing. Rick Gaiman, who's an unreal follow, great podcast with The First Cut. He has some great numbers with his website as well, but he tweeted this out earlier. The number of top seeds that have advanced from the group since going to this format in 2015, 37 for 112. That's just 33.0%.
Oh, wow.
Of first seeds coming out. So yes, don't just look at your favorite golfers and just assume they're coming out. Like, go dig deep, find out who are the great match play players. And That's what I've done. That's my two best bets for outright and winning groups. I've gone ahead and looked at some of those guys that have really good records in match play because, as we all know, it's a different beast. There are some golfers that are just better at match play than stroke play, and they get up for these events, or they have a lot of course history here. And on the flip side, some other guys just, that's not how they, it's not a unique event for them, and maybe the moment's too big for them. So I think you certainly have to go in and still take the same approach with the course history and recent form. But for me, my big thing is looking into, okay, who has the stones? Who are the guys that dig deep in this event, in the Ryder Cup, in the President's Cup, and who likes playing in these type of formats?
I'm right there with you as well. And then one of the other important things to do, and I mean, Dusty's printed out the bracket. Folks, before you make your wagers on who you think is going to win, I mean, if you're hitting a number of guys, check the bracket. Make sure that your two guys for top 4 aren't meeting in the second round, because it is a set bracket. There's no reseeding. You can pretty much know. And it's interesting. I mean, just for folks that follow the Canadian golfers, Adam Hadwin and Nick Taylor can both get into the Masters if they make it to the final 4. Unfortunately, they both can't do it. If they get out of their groups, they would play before the final 4. So make sure to check out that bracket. I mean, we're going to kind of get into this. I've got a couple outrights, a couple top 4s, basically coming from different quadrants. I mean, you don't want to eliminate your possibility of winning your bets before they even happen. But as you mentioned, Pat, I think right now the time is to focus in on the group stages. And again, if people are unfamiliar, 4 players in each group. There's a round robin. They'll play a match on Wednesday, a match on Thursday, and a match on Friday. If they're tied, they go to sudden death. Those are always exciting when there's a lot on the line on late Friday when they're doing the sudden death. But you pull that out. And then once you go from 64 to 16, straight up match play, 16 to 8 to 4 to a final over the course of the weekend. A lot of golf, although not a ton happening on the course at the same time like a regular tournament. Every shot means that much more. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on that note, I might as well give out some of my best bets. We'll also have the groups. You mentioned him already. Scotty Scheffler, like, how can you not? The guy is an absolute match play monster. You referenced him winning this last year, and it catapulted him into having such an unreal season. His record in single match play is 11-2-2. That's in this event and the Ryder Cup. Like, that is just insane. I know you're only getting at pretty much even money for him, but I think this is as sure of a bet as you can get. Like, he's also got recent form under his belt as well. Like, I think this is an absolute no-brainer. I hate going chalk and betting the favorite, like the outright favorite in an event like this, or any golf event for that. But at his number and at the way he's playing and his history in match play, I think I also will be probably sprinkling a little bit for him to win outright as well as his group.
Scheffler at 9-1. And I mean, I think that if I had to just make one wager and go on this, I would probably go that way. He won it last year. He just won the Players. He's getting ready to try and repeat that incredible openings part of the season last year, heading into Augusta. It is interesting to see him so much lower than Jon Rahm and Rory McIlroy. Rahm's at 13. Rory is at 16. Any thoughts on those guys right now? I mean, I keep on reminding myself that if we look back at the history of this event, the top seeds rarely end up in the finals and there at the end. But I mean, both of these players are so good, and both of them coming off pretty underwhelming performances. And I think that might give us a better number on these players than we might normally get at this event.
Yeah, that is true. I think you got to limit yourself, because the most that we've ever seen advance, number 1 seeds, I should say, advance through this was last year, and I think it was 2018 with 8. So I think you got to eliminate certain number 1s. Might as well take the better ones, because you are getting a really good number with them. For me, I would probably lean more Rom, just based on his group. But again, either of those I think are really good value, and you'd be crazy not to at least think about it. But it is wild to see how Scotty Scheffler is basically even money to get out of the group. The other one that I really like, and this is 100% a play on this event and match play alone, and also the fact that Coolbet's got the best number on this by far. Like Kevin Kisner to win his group at plus 500 as of this morning. You look at some of the other books, you're getting at like 375, 350, 325. Like, I know he's going up against my boy Homa. He's got a real tough group, but he's a monster when it comes to match play. 22, 7-2 in match play, and 21, 5-1 at this event with three finals appearances. Only Tiger Woods has more final appearances at this event. So that just goes to show you this is his event. He gets up for it. And at 18-1 to finish in the top four, I know it's a bit of a long shot, but it almost seems like this is the event where he wakes up, puts his pants on in the morning, and then just dominates. I love Kiz. This is his event.
It is. He is the king of match play. Every year he comes in as an underwhelming underdog, and all of a sudden we're talking about him playing on the Sunday. Plus 500, as you mentioned. The reason why that number is so high, I think, is also because of just how strong his group is coming out of the pods.
Yeah, very big group.
You've got
crazy.
Max Homa,
Crazy.
Max Homa in the one, like of the 1-16s, and then Hideki and Justin Suh, who has actually been really good over the last month.
That group of death.
That's the group of death.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
Exactly. You're waiting for that World Cup reference. But Kiz finds a way. He always finds a way. And he's never going to out-bomb guys. His short game is so good. He's a clutch putter. That's what you need to survive in this event. And it's all about staying alive. And he seems to do it as well as anybody on the tour.
Exactly. You mentioned not being a bomber. You don't need to be a bomber at this course either. And it's just, if you are a consistent, birdie chaser, and you're not going to that's fine. You don't have to go super, super low. It's like, just win the hole, capitalize on when your opponent hits a bad shot. And that's what he's done year after year. It's a no-brainer for me. With that being said, because his odds are so high to win that group, and even for him to make top four, gonna kind of go against what we said off the top and not try to, go against your picks, but I might sprinkle a little bit on Homa to finish in the top four, or even
plus 550. It's one of my plays. Yeah.
Just because then that balances out, because I think if Homa, if Kisner doesn't get through, I think it's Homa. And again, but the difficult thing is, not only is this the group of death, you then go up against a pretty challenging next two matches, as I think the way it lines up, you go up against Spieth. Who else is in that group?
Spieth or Shane Lowry's in that same group as Spieth, whoever comes out of that. And then Patrick Cantlay would be along the path there too.
So that's difficult. So that's really difficult. But I think if you go as like a hedge play of Kiz, like, again, you're kind of the worst case is Hideki goes on fire and ends up winning that, or even Suh. But just for me, I think it's one of those two guys. And if Kiz gets out of the group, I think he's going all the way. Like, that's just how I see this unfolding.
Pat, as always, buddy, we really appreciate it, man. We're going to dive into our picks here and enjoy the match play event, buddy.
Oh, I will. And just so you guys do know, I don't know if you checked, both of your exclusives are up.
They're up. Okay.
So you guys will be able to drop your exclusives. Mine's coming in a bit. I took a little bit of a different approach. I always got to support our guy Pendy. He's not here. He's down in the DR. So keep your eyes out. That's a little spoiler. It'll be a little bit of match play and a little bit of Punta Cana as well. So keep your eyes out. That should probably be dropped a little bit this afternoon.
Hey, by the way, we missed you on Friday, but a belated happy St. Paddy's to you. And Listen, I've never been a big lacrosse guy, but I'm getting more and more into it, watching you kill it with the guys on TSN. Keep up the great work. And we need to get, as we get into a quieter time, we might need you to come on and gift us all with some insider knowledge of the NLL and what you got going on lacrosse-wise.
Oh, I can't wait. Sign me up. I appreciate the kind words, though, to us.
See you later, Patty. There you go. That's
Thanks,
Pat Gregoire. Does a great job with all the coverage of the National Lacrosse League. All right, Huss.
I always get fired up. I always get fired up when I'm flicking around. I'm like, hey, there's Pat. We got lacrosse on tonight.
It's kind of neat, right? Yeah, it's very cool.
Well, and you know what?
All right.
I have been to a couple games. I've been to a Rock game.
Back it's a great event.
And I was Roughnecks. I wish. I mean, it looks like the CEBL is sort of now a league that's kind of growing more across Canada, and it makes sense with basketball. But there is some great lacrosse markets right now, and of course, anyways, if you see some NLL on TSN, chances are Pat will be looking good and dropping some great commentary on the broadcast. But yes, back to the match play, Dusty. This is
I don't have any boards for our picks because we got so many. I do have some hockey boards for a little bit later on, but let's dive into this. I got a list of different things going on here, so lay it out for me. Where are you going? What do you like?
All right. Well, we wanted to talk about, you know what, maybe I'll save the groups for the end because we've got the exclusives that we've set up.
Yes.
But just as far as the outrights go for this tournament, who do we think is going to win? There's two guys that I'm going to tab right now on the lock shop. Number one is Tyrrell Hatton, and Hatton is a real boom or bust pick. But in this event, you either win or you lose. I mean, there's no gray area. There's no top 10 in a match. He is such a bulldog on the course. And when it comes down to it, he has the ability to, I think, under pressure, make some incredible shots. And I think it's to his advantage playing against one guy as opposed to another 143 in a big event like this. He's played very well so far this year. I mean, if you look at the metrics, whether it comes to strokes gained off the tee, irons, putting, I believe he's the one guy in the top 10 in all three categories right now. So I think his game's in a great spot, and I think he's got the mentality that makes him a great match play player. So I'm going to start off the outrights with Tyrrell Hatton at 25-1 to win the whole thing. If you do like him to get to the final, it's 11-1, and a top 4 is plus 550. The other guy that I'm going to jump on that I just think is pretty good value, I know you were talking Homa and are going to get to him in a minute. The other guy in that mix that I think is sort of a forgotten guy at the top is Patrick Cantlay. And Cantlay, I mean, I think back to the times I've seen him in the Ryder Cup. I mean, he has been absolutely nails. Often a big part of the pairs opportunities, when they're playing in teams, but also an absolute stud in singles action. So at 20-1 for Cantlay, he's had a couple, he's been in the mix, hasn't won yet so far this year. I think his game's rounding into form though. So my two outrights that I'm going to give out on the lock shop, 20-1 on Cantlay, 25-1 on Hatton. And then a couple of top 4s staying along with those guys, and I'm going on to the other quadrants, is Max Homa at plus 550. I do think Homa is definitely a player that we could see. He could see him win the whole thing. I've sort of, our conversation about Kiz has me thinking about this again because, man, he is dangerous and is a great number tough on that.
3 of the last 4 finals, he's there and he won one, right? So.
Exactly. Now, the issue with that is that Cantlay and Homa are in the same quarter, if you will. So you basically can't win both of those. So I'll probably add somebody into this top run in the Morikawa, Hovland, Im, and Scotty Scheffler run. I was thinking about Tom Kim. And here's the thing, Kim. We remember how great he was at the President's Cup. I mean, he really showed a lot of moxie when it comes to the match play game. And he's in the same pool. He's in the same group as Scotty Scheffler. And I think that even though the favorites don't often come out, it's so hard to bet against Scheffler. But at the same time, we might be getting some nice numbers on that. I'll for sure be going on Tom Kim against Alex Noren and probably against Davis Riley. And man, if he could get that win against Scotty Scheffler, it would be nice. Other guy that I do like, though, is Tony Finau. I'm going to get to Will Zalatoris in a minute from a group perspective, but Finau's in a group where he's a clear favorite. Bezadenhout's been in the mix at times. Kitayama has the win, Moronk, but Tony Finau, clearly the class of this group. The quadrant that he's in features Jon Rahm. But again, I'm really not sure what we're going to see from Jon Rahm. I could see him winning this tournament. I could see him going 1-2 in the group and not even being around for the weekend. So I'm going to throw a little sprinkle. It's been a minute since I've been on Tony. We're going to grab Tony on a top 4 for the tournament. And as far as the groups, I've jumped on 3 guys. Now, I'll probably throw on a couple more as we get closer to tee times tomorrow. But I'm going to start it off with Corey Connors. And Corey Connors is in a group. Let me just find this here. There's so many of them. He, if you recall, last year went all the way to the 3-4 game. Had a great tournament. And again, when we talk about the iron play that I think is so important, putting, of course, as well, Connors really does have it. And he's in a group that I think gives him a much better. Like Cameron Young's the top seed there. He's plus 165. Connors at 215, and then Sepp Straka and D Thompson. So I like Connors at plus 215. I think it speaks to where he's at right now, that he's as close as he is to nearly a favorite in the group. Really do like him. As we continue through, Will Zalatoris is another guy, and I'm not sure why. Maybe I'm prioritizing, approach and iron play, but to me, it just means so much. It takes so much stress off of your flat stick if you're able to consistently hit those irons close. And I really do think that he's in a great spot. And I mean, again, you look at the competition in his group: Putnam, Ryan Fox, Harris English. To me, Zalatoris is the clear best player. And I think, frankly, considering the competition, even though we know the history of top-seeded players, plus 160 on Willie Z is a really, really nice number. And then the other guy that we've spent a lot of time talking about this week, that has done well at this event before, that has a ton of match play experience, is our guy Jason Day. And Jason Day is in a group with Victor Perez, Canadian Adam Svensson, and Colin Morikawa. I think if you looked at them at their games for the last month or so coming into this, I think you'd give the nod to Jason Day as being more consistent than Colin Morikawa. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I was sort of tempted at Morikawa with a 25-1 number, just with the talent that he has. But I'm going to ride with Jason Day to get out of this group at plus 190. And I'll tell you what, we'll once you finish your picks, we'll go over to the exclusives and find out what. But those 3 guys I put in to get out of their groups on a bit of an exclusive. We've got a couple of those up. Where are you going for the tourney?
Yeah, so much to dive into here. I mean, a lot of the guys that I'm kind of on, we've already talked about. I'm going to get on Max Homa here at 22-1. Over the last 50 rounds, he's 7th best tee to green, and he's 11th in putting as well. Like, all aspects of Max Homa's game have been great. Now, the fact that he's in a pod with Kisner, a little concerning. I mean, Matsuyama, it's going to be a challenge. I think if Kisner or Homa come out of this thing, I think both of these guys can make a run the rest of the way out of that group. So that's why I'm going to get on Max Homa here, and a final 4 at plus 550 as well. My other 2 outrights are going to be Jason Day, who we just talked about. Now, Day's won this event twice, and he won it on this track too. The first time they played this course for this event, he won it. And his game is better than it's been in the last 5 years right now, right? So the fact that his game has come back and he's already won this thing twice, and you did mention the pod that he's in, it's not ideal that he has to go through Morikawa because Day's a 32 seed in this thing, but he's playing just as good as golf as anybody in the world right now. So I think you can look at Jason Day at 30-1, and considering the fact that he's had success multiple times in this event and once on this course. With the way he's playing now, I think it's pretty good value right there. 6 straight top 20s. Like, the guy's been insanely consistent, Huss, for the last 3 months. And then I'm going to get on Cam Young, a little bit of a longer, still not even that much longer. 35-1 for Cameron Young, one of the best putters in the world. And you said you're not too sure what you're going to get from Jon Rahm in this event. And he would have to face Jon Rahm in the round of 16 here, right out of the pods. That would have to be who he faces. But if this guy's putter is on, I mean, he could maybe take down this whole thing. So I'm going to get on Cam Young at 35-1. I mentioned the Max Homa top 4. My exclusive or group picks that we'll get to. You laid out your group picks earlier on. We'll give you the numbers on these exclusives in just a second. But, I mean, it's kind of the similar sort of thought process that you had here when you look at some of these groups. I'm going to get on 3 guys. So Xander at plus 135 to win his group. He's got Tom Hogan, Aaron Wise, and Cam Davis in that group. If Xander doesn't come out of that, to me, that would be a significant upset. You already laid out the case for Tyrrell Hatton. I've got him at plus 135 as well to come out of his group with Henley, Herbert, and Griffin. And then I'm throwing Rory on this at plus 120. All 3 of these guys are actually in the same quadrant of this bracket, but that doesn't matter here because they just have to come out of their group. Rory's with Keegan Bradley, Denny McCarthy, and Scott Stallings. So Rory, Xander, and Hatton, 2 of those guys at plus 135, Rory at plus 120. We threw them over to Coolbet. They gave us their numbers. My exclusive is 12-1, which is a pretty good number for 3 favorites, heavy favorites, in my opinion, in their group. So, yeah, let's roll with those 3 guys at plus 1,200. Yours is plus 2,400, Huss. So, yeah, that's a big-time number.
And you know what? It was part of the reason why. I mean, 2 of my 3 guys aren't favorites in their group, betting favorites. Of course, Day's in the Morikawa group, and Corey Connors is in the Cam Young group. But I do like them along with Will Zalatoris. So that is a pretty nice number. If you're thinking about, wanting to make just a little sprinkle and have some action on a few groups, ride with us in the exclusives. But yeah, my 3 picks, Jason Day, Will Zalatoris, and Corey Connors to win their respective groups, juiced up to a very nice 24-1. And you can bet the no on the other side for these as well, which we don't often have in the exclusives, but a big number, minus 5,000 on mine and minus 2,000 on Dusty's. By the way, one other guy that I'm going to bet, I didn't put him in, but I may as well throw it out right now, is Min Woo Lee. And Min Woo Lee is in Group 11 with Matt Fitzpatrick, Sahith Theegala, and JJ Spawn. He's plus 315 to win this group. And even Fitz, that's the favorite, is plus 200. This is a wide open group.
Wide open group, yep.
So I'm going to get on Min Woo Lee for that. And I actually do have a nice little 2-gamer. I'm going to dive into the matches more tonight.
Yeah.
But 2 of the matches that sort of stick out to me right off the bat. Corey Connors is going up against Sepp Straka. Obviously, I'm thinking he's going to win the group, so you got to win that first one. He's at minus 147. But Min Woo Lee's minus 103 against Sahith Theegala. And Sahith is a strong player, and he's been in the mix. I love the way Min Woo's been playing. We saw what he did at the Players' Championship, and he seems to be a guy that I think is made for match play as well. So Min Woo Lee and Corey Connors together plus 231 for a Wednesday 2-match parlay for that event tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I got 3 of the first round matchups I like here too. You can get Kisner at plus 145 versus Hideki, which, I mean, considering his success here, I like that.
Hey.
Shane Lowry minus 125 against Montgomery, and Kitayama at minus 128 versus Moronk. Those would be 3 that I would be on in round 1. Huss, we got about 5 minutes left here. I got another thing coming up at 11:45. So let's dive into the National Hockey League tonight. And you got this boosted, a little exclusive you put together over here. What's going on?
Yeah, well, as I said, I had some good experience last week with Tuesday and Thursday exclusives and would have gone 3 for 3 last night if it wasn't for that ridiculous goaltending performance. So we're going to go to the National Hockey League tonight. Busy night. Pick 3 games that we like. Going to start off with the Buffalo Sabres. They're at home. Minus 152 is the number right now to the Nashville Predators. I think in a lot of ways that loss to the Jets on Saturday Really sort of, it was a dose of reality for Nashville. And then they went out the next day and got absolutely pummeled. I like Buffalo to bounce back from a rough weekend for their playing at home, playing for pride right now, trying to at least mathematically stay in it. Buffalo's the first pick on this one. You've got the Hurricanes and Rangers. When I made this pick, the Rangers were a home underdog at -103. This is now a straight pick 'em between the Rangers and Hurricanes. Shesterkin's in net right now. Obviously, the Canes are dealing with the loss of Svechnikov. I like the Rangers to get it done at home. And then the final game is the Dallas Stars to the Seattle Kraken. Seattle still has some work to do. Dallas looking to lock down first place right now. They're playing well. They're scoring goals. I like Dallas at home -154. This one, when I made it originally, came out to +448. A couple of the numbers that I had have actually gone down, so that would have gone down too. We've got it at 5-1 in the exclusives. I would suggest to jump on that early, because if the lines keep moving, that number will probably move down as well. But right now, it's up at 5-1. Buffalo, Rangers, Dallas to win tonight.
And I've got 3-gamer. If you want to parlay it, it's +354. I'm going to take the Winnipeg Jets in regulation tonight. A little bit of faith in the Jets against the Coyotes. I think I got to do it here at -169. Vegas money line tonight, -159. They are on the road against the Vancouver Canucks. And then I'm going to throw in an under here in the Minnesota-New Jersey game, under 6.5. It's a 6 number right now. I bumped it up to 6.5 and took the under. It gets it to -140. If you want to parlay all 3 of those, +354. Haas, this has been a jam-packed Tuesday episode of The Lock Shop, buddy.
Yeah, well, usually Wednesday is the big day where we get into, but it was great. I mean, listen, there's more hockey tonight. We had to hit that. We had to hit the match play. We won't be doing a regular show tomorrow, but take a look at our Twitters and at Lock Shop Bets on Twitter. Might throw out a few other match selections for the match play, and they'll be right back at it on Thursday. We'll actually have some time to hit maybe some of the afternoon matches, get into some hockey, and then, of course, a big show heading into the weekend on Friday.
We'll talk to you on Thursday, buddy.